Hello, it's the FingerNailFixer with BFF Mel of Tips of the Trade, and we are bringing you a live broadcast today on the Nails Magazine Facebook page about reflexology. We're going to give people a couple minutes to join the broadcast. While you are joining and we're waiting for everyone to jump on, please feel free to hop on your own Facebook page and share this video so that we get as many nail professionals viewing and chatting and having the ability to ask questions live as possible. Should we share on our pages right quick?
Yes.
All right. As you're watching, if you just click down in the corner on share, you can choose to share it to your personal page or to your salon page, whichever your preference is. And I've also been smart enough to connect to the Wi-Fi this time instead of going by phone signal, so hopefully we'll be able to make it through the entire broadcast without any technical issues.
Can we just let down a little?
Yes.
To look at more of us and not much of
Hello. That's better. And we'll play with the camera angle as needed because we're actually going to show you some reflexology information using the hands and feet. We've still got about one more minute. We're going to give people the chance to join. Hiya! And then we will get going. Please go ahead and share the video to your Facebook so we get as many people live as possible so everyone has the chance to comment and ask questions. I just posted to one page. I'm going to post it to one more. Did you already post it to both?
Already got both.
Oh, you're so fast.
I'm going to put this over here so I don't have to keep turning around. That way I can keep looking at you.
Yeah, I probably should do the same because once you have my foot, I won't be able to turn around behind me either. Hi, everyone. Go ahead and give us some thumbs up or some love if you are ready to go so that we know you're ready to start chatting about reflexology today. I'm not seeing any thumbs up. Let's have at it and we'll get going.
I'm seeing hellos though.
There we go. Now I'm feeling it. I think they want to talk about reflexology. Should we start?
Sure.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Nails Magazine Facebook page today for a live broadcast. We're going to discuss reflexology. We would love to have your comments below, and we'll try to keep up with any questions or add any of your comments into the broadcast so that the recording will show any information that you had to add to the broadcast as well as the answers to the questions. Yay! Thanks for the thumbs up.
All right. So if you're not familiar with reflexology, it is the line of thinking or the practice, I guess, of being able to apply pressure. We're doing reflexology is like acupressure, pressure to certain points on the palms of the hands or the soles of the feet that will then have effect to reflex points in the body. Now keep in mind this is more of a holistic way of not a healing, but just more holistic thinking. So the thing about reflexology, the hardest thing you will, is knowing how to read the map of the feet, which I'm going to show you shortly. And once again, fur babies, they ignore us while we set up, and as soon as we come down here and start talking to you, that's when they want attention.
Naturally.
So reflexology has been around for thousands of years. There actually is a hieroglyphic of it in Egypt dating back to like 2300 BC.
That's crazy.
It has to do with how the energy flows in the body. You need to get past that we're not just this physical form that we see. Our entire being has an energy circle out to about here. Reflexology helps the body keep that energy flow as it should be going. If the body gets that energy blocked, it's kind of like a tourniquet on the body and your body doesn't work like it should. It can help with so not only blocked energies, but some physical ailments. If you get truly certified in reflexology, in theory, you should be able to help things from heartburn to even acne by knowing the right reflex points and basically the right glands to work on the feet or on the hands. I myself just focus on mainly the feet and what energy I can help unblock.
For me, as someone that will go and get a pedicure, I've noticed sometimes that there'll be an addition of reflexology on a salon menu, and it just happens to end up being an extension to my massage. So are they doing it properly? Is reflexology just more massage?
Not necessarily. I kind of incorporate a little bit reflexology into my pedicures, but true reflexology is acupressure. It's not necessarily relaxing. You are going to be applying pressure to specific areas. When I work it into my massage techniques during my pedicures, I kind of do a slide and press movement, but true reflexology would be applying pressure and then moving and pressure and then moving. And knowing what part of the body you are affecting by knowing how to read the map of the feet is your first hurdle to get over.
Give us a thumbs up if you've ever had acupuncture or acupressure with reflexology in a salon. We'd love to know who has some experience with this. Also, if you've ever had it done in physical therapy.
Right, so your first step in learning how to read the map. I have lots of props to go with us.
And we will definitely make sure that we put some information on how to get these reference resources in a future blog. For the resources that we mentioned in the March Facebook Live when we talked about shoes and feet, definitely keep an eye out. That blog will go up this week with the books and authors and photos of some of the things that we used for references during that broadcast. The ones for this broadcast will be coming up within the next month.
So we have two charts here, and I don't expect you to be able to see these exceptionally well on the broadcast. We will make copies of them, or we will scan them for our next blog. Turn it up sideways.
You didn't want to be able to see it properly, did you?
So we're going to concentrate mainly on the feet today. If you notice on my chart here, there are yellow lines. Okay, I'm going to have Holly hold that up. These are kind of hard to see since they are copies of copies that I've been carrying around for years since I was educating. On this one, can you see where the yellow lines are on the body? Right, so this yellow line corresponds with this yellow line. So everything above this yellow line here corresponds with everything above here. So basically, your points from your collarbone up to the top of your head are the same reflex points for the top third of the foot there. Between the next yellow line, between the collarbone and your natural waistline, so right there in the middle of the foot, are your digestive system, the upper part of your digestive system, most of your respiratory system, your heart, and then from there down to the bottom line, like there along the bottom of the heel, that's where the rest of your digestive system and your reproductive system are.
So is this where it comes in? Sometimes in the salon, when you want the reflexology option, they'll ask if you're pregnant?
Yes. So the reflex points for the uterus and the ovaries are actually on the sides of the heels here. So when you're doing a pedicure on a pregnant gal, you want to be very mindful and very light pressure on those points. Now I know holding up these silly little pieces of paper is not going to help you much, but I'm going to show you on the actual foot here shortly. I made Holly go barefoot today.
And it's really cold here in Iowa. Hello from a balmy below freezing temperature.
Yes, it is today. So one of the reasons that I like to do it, I divide these up into three parts. And in the book that I will suggest, you will see that the body is also has these lines where it's divided up and down also. Yes, it's in that book. The chart I'm using are in these books. I just photocopied it out of there. Sorry for copyright infringement. Now, learning how to read the map of the feet. For those of you that remember actual paper maps before we've all had GPS.
I like being the blue dot. It's much more convenient on the small screen than having this spread out over the entire dashboard. We want to see a thumbs up if you've used a map and had it spread out across your dashboard.
Okay.
I would love to know who else remembers that.
Okay, I'm going to have you hold this. So, when you were using an actual paper map and you wanted to find a certain city, like this map is Illinois, but I'm also going to concentrate on the Iowa portion here. If I wanted to find Davenport on this map, I would go to my key here on the back side, and it would tell me that Davenport sits in the intersection of the D and somewhere between the 3 and the 4. So learning where to go laterally and longitudinally helps you narrow down what your map is. That's what we do on the feet.
So does that mean those of us old enough to have read a paper map are going to naturally be better at reflexology?
Sure.
I love when she lies to me to make me feel good about myself.
So the point of the latitude and longitudinal lines is showing this is your cross lines and this is your up and down lines. So your right half of the body is on the right foot, left half of the body is on the left foot. If you wanted to affect the heart reflex, you would go slightly more to the left foot. So that's kind of your latitude and longitude, similar to how you're reading a paper map.
And we'll photograph that page in the book for you so that you know what page number to reference if you should get the book, so you know what to look for. There are also a couple of reflexology apps that we'll mention in a little while.
There are multiple reflexology apps, and you can go anywhere on Google and find your map. There are charts available you can purchase for hands or feet.
I like these because they're pretty.
They're colorful.
Have you seen the socks?
Yes.
That have it printed on the feet? I would think the socks would make it difficult to get enough pressure.
The socks allow you to help learning to read your map. Once you know how to read your map, then you can put the socks away. When I taught in cosmetology school a number of years ago, one of the projects the students had to do was draw their own reflexology maps.
Oh, that would be really cool.
On the socks. So, for those of you that are also more familiar with holistic line of thinking or new age line of care, the colors on these charts also correspond with the chakras in the body. So once you understand which chakra goes with which section of the foot, you can understand that sometimes your blockages of your energy that you will notice are not necessarily physical. Sometimes they're emotional. Like, you might find an area of blockage in what would be the solar plexus, or sometimes in where the throat area would be, and things like not speaking your own truths and not getting your feelings out can block those chakras, can actually show up as imbalances in the feet.
Interesting.
So it goes far beyond what we can see.
Do they show up in the hips for anyone? Emotional imbalances tend to mean cupcakes at my house. Anyone else?
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of a demo on Holly's, at least one foot.
And if you'll bear with me, we'll try and get the camera where you can see it properly. Just leave me a comment if you can't see, and we'll play adjustment on the camera.
Can you just go sideways so we can see? Oops. Alright, let's try it this way. There we go. You ready? Yes. Okay, so I don't want my hands to be too cold. Oh, look at you're upside down. You were. Yeah, we're still upside down. And I hope this is good for entertainment for everybody this morning.
Comic relief always makes learning more fun.
Hey, there we go.
Ta-da! Right side up.
Okay, so on the foot, your line is approximately here for the collarbone. So anything from here up, like you have reflex points for all your sinuses on the tips of the toes. Your spine would follow along here. Your shoulder would be over in here. Since this is her left foot, her heart reflex would be right around here. Right about here, where you feel that natural indentation of the foot, that's the approximate place of the waistline. So between here and here are your lungs, down to about where the diaphragm is, so stomach is up in this area. Then down here to here is digestive and reproductive. One of the things that's important to remember when you are doing reflexology on both the feet and the hands is this area right here. You always want to move in a clockwise motion because in the digestive system, your colon starts up on the other side is your ascending colon, you've got your transverse colon, and your descending colon. So when things leave the body, they always leave in a clockwise motion. So you always want to make sure you massage the hands and the feet in a clockwise motion so you don't want to back somebody up. Without naming names so I don't embarrass anybody that I know and love, I have actually helped people unblock constipation by using the right motions right here for the colon.
Nice.
So when you are massaging on the feet, have you ever noticed that sometimes you feel like crystals or sugar or salt under the skin? That's the area of the imbalance. I have freaked out more than one client on occasion by working in here saying, oh, well, do you have pain in your hip or do you have pain in your shoulder? Because I feel the imbalance there. And they'll be like, yeah. So as you work those, you can feel them kind of loosening up and breaking up. That's helping unblock those energy spots. Tell your client to drink lots of water because they'll also is working out the toxins in the system. Now, true reflexology treatment would be systematically applying pressure and then moving a little, applying a pressure, moving a little, applying pressure. Ideally, you would be doing this with the end of your thumb, but since I don't want to impale Holly, I have learned to manipulate with my thumb knuckle. So I would pressure and move and pressure and move. And you could work down the sides of both toes. All toes, I guess they're both sides of all toes, that's what I meant.
Notice the pausing in between the pressure, so it's not a smooth gliding like you have with massage.
You can glide, but if you're wanting to do more true reflexology, it would be acupressure. If that's too uncomfortable for your knuckle that way, you can also do it this way. There are multiple tools that are also made. You can get little wooden ones or stone ones that can apply this pressure for you, rather than having to use your knuckles or your fingers if it makes your hands sore.
Do you have any questions so far about the reflexology?
As far as the sensitive places on pregnant gals, it's kind of this little triangle right here on both sides. So I usually say if you have a gal that's within a week of her due date, you can go to town on massaging and applying pressure there on the ankles. Otherwise, you should either avoid this area or just make it a light stroking massage. There are also reflex points on the top of the feet, but the majority of the ones that you want to pay attention to and focus on are going to be on the bottom of the feet. Does that cover about all of our basics?
I believe so. I'm not seeing any questions, so I think they're still following along with us.
They're still absorbing, or they're shaking their heads going, you guys are crazy.
That's always a possibility.
Because sometimes if you can't see it, some people have a harder time in believing it.
Lori has a question. Should you always start at the top of the foot, which would be the tip of the toes, I believe?
I don't think it really matters. In all of my stuff that I have researched and done, I don't think it matters a whole lot, just as long as you are continuing, you always do the same pattern. If you are always going to start at the toes, or if you're always going to start at the heel, whichever is your comfort zone or comfort level, just continue the same pattern to make sure you're covering all the areas all the time.
Brilliant. I'm going to flip the camera back around and hopefully keep it right side up this time.
See my interesting book collection behind me there.
Get this back far enough again. Show them the ceiling.
Hello, we're back. So, going back to the charts, this is how it helps you read your map. They're not only, these are laminated, they're colorful. No, she showed this before. This one is actually my favorite book to go by. I like the illustrations in this one because they're actually photographs. Sure, no, not gonna let me. Rather than drawings, to give you an idea of hand placement.
And there's little teeny tiny reference cards in addition to the full sheet size reference cards. So you could actually keep these at the pedicure station to follow along with, or the manicure station while you're working.
And I pulled up my app store here on my iPhone.
Go way closer.
And there are lots of apps. Some cost a little, some are free. Reflexology's charts are easy to find online. So getting to know how to read, like I could say, the map is the best way you're going to be able to tell what areas you're having an effect on.
And we'll take some screenshots of the apps and post them on the Tips of the Trade as well as the FingerNailFixer Facebook pages for you.
One question was, do you recommend to do one foot then the other? Yes, I generally do entirely. My practice is to start on the client's right foot and move to the left. That's just my routine. So whatever your routine is comfortable, just always keep up that routine so you know you're always getting every area.
Yeah, consistency in your pedicure massage or your manicure massage and your reflexology helps keep it easier for you to remember the steps. Because if you're trying to remember, she's talking about her kids and what was that step? Whereas if you're always going consistently in the same steps, using the same process, then you get really comfortable with the process, and so your reflexology, you almost don't even have to think about it, same as you do in your massage.
Kind of like muscle memory. Actually, a lot of times if I'm actually doing reflexology that we've done as an add-on to the pedicures that I do, it adds an additional 30 minutes. I prefer to actually close my eyes, and the client's typically being quiet and taking that chance to relax. But if I close my eyes, I can be more into what I'm feeling with my hands. I don't like to do this with gloves. I prefer, if I'm going to do reflexology, to do it on the feet. I think I can feel more areas of imbalance in the feet. Generally, if you're going to feel those crunchies or those crystals, it's going to be in the feet more than the hands.
Absolutely. And it's so funny when you're doing a pedicure and you kind of run across the ball of the foot and it's like, yep, it's like the little paper crinkle feeling under the skin, as well as the sound. Sometimes they're so plentiful that you can actually hear the sound, and it's pretty entertaining when that sound happens.
One thing to keep in mind is, though, we do not diagnose.
What? Don't you have your little fancy letters after your name? Yeah. I'm an A and T. Doesn't that make me fancy enough to diagnose?
I'm a C and D E A, if that counts. So when you're working on somebody's foot and you were to notice an area of imbalance, and you're like, oh, I noticed this in the area of the bladder or the kidney or the liver, you cannot tell the client, oh, I think you've got a bladder infection, or I think you've got a kidney problem. We don't do that. We just say, I noticed this imbalance. I'm working all these crystals out. Make sure to drink a lot of water when you're done. The toxins in our body have a tendency to sit. Since our feet are the lowest part in our body, that's where the toxins sit the most. So when we start to manipulate the foot and do that massage, whether it's reflexology or just massage, we're loosening up those toxins, and the blood is going to pick it up and work the toxins out of the body. You could have somebody that gets a headache when you're done, could have somebody that feels nauseous when they're done. The only other precautionary thing I would say would be if you have somebody that has circulatory problems, such as sometimes diabetics shouldn't get a whole lot of circulation or a lot of manipulation to their feet. Somebody that's undergoing chemo treatment, or somebody that has blood clots, this is going to help stimulate the circulatory system. So either proceed with extreme caution, ask them to make sure their doctor that it's okay, or just don't do reflexology on them at all. So keeping in mind of not backing somebody up when you're massaging, not working too hard on the uterus and the ovaries reflexes on a pregnant gal, and with the circulatory system in mind for chemo and things, those are really your three most things you need to be careful of. Other than that, you should not be able to do any harm. This is a complementary holistic service. That's what holistic means, is complementary to your typical medicines.
And generally, what is an average reflexology session? How much time? Let's go over to comments. And those of you that have done reflexology, we would love to know about what your average timing is for reflexology. I've noticed on some salon menus you have a choice in 5-minute increments. What does your salon offer as far as reflexology?
An additional 30 minutes, so I can do an additional 15 minutes per foot.
Perfect.
The exercises do you recommend to protect your hands? One of the best things that I found, this, yes, or stretching this way and stretching this way. These thumb muscles are the ones that have a tendency to get the most tender when you're working on these things. So yeah, those types of stretches.
Yep. And another fun fact is the muscles back behind your shoulders can actually radiate pain down to your hands. So making sure that you're sitting with your shoulders back and not hunched forward, because we have a tendency to hunch forward. And keep an eye out in the next month for a blog that involves some of those things when it comes to our posture from my physical therapist.
More ergonomics?
Yes.
Okay, another question is, when should they go to the doctor? If there's anything they are concerned about their own health, if they know they're currently suffering from an illness, they should get a doctor's note ahead of time. So I've had some clients go, well, my doctor thought I was crazy when I asked about this. I'm like, well, I would much rather be precautionary than not. Mm-hmm. Since we can't diagnose, we can't say, oh, I noticed this and you should go to the doctor. So you do want to have a little bit of precaution. It was like, oh, I noticed they really had a problem with their kidneys. Maybe they should go. We don't do that. You're going to have to learn to be a little, what do I want to say? Clever, yes.
Yeah. We need to use clever wording, because we definitely do not want to step outside of the scope of our practice, because that's where lawsuits come in. And if you've stepped outside of the scope of your practice, then you're not going to be able to protect yourself from that lawsuit.
Yes. So I think it's about all the highlights I had to cover. I know it's a lot of information in a short amount of time, and we will follow it up with the blog with some printed materials, because I know I do better if I can not only listen but have the printed materials. But it was just kind of an overview of something you could be researching and do an add-on to your services as it is. Some states, well, to my knowledge, I don't know which states actually regulate reflexology. The state of Iowa looks at it as like a form of entertainment, so it's not something that's governed. You don't need to be licensed for. Some cosmetology schools will give you certification in that. There's actually a reflexology certification course you can take here in Iowa, but it's very intensive, and that's where they will go much more into actually treating ailments, and I don't even step into that realm. I just try and help more from the relaxation and unblocking those energies.
Absolutely. What is a good pricing guide? I noticed that we don't have any comments about times for doing reflexology. So if it's something that you're interested in learning to do so that you can offer it into the salon, we'll definitely add some resources for you on the blog. And so when it comes to what you should charge for reflexology, what do you think would be a good starting guideline? Should it be a percentage of the pedicure service, or what's a good way of figuring it up?
I guess I kind of look at it as time. When I do an add-on for art, for like shellac for a manicure or pedicure, I start with an additional $10 per 15 minutes. So regardless of what I'm doing in that 15 minutes, whether it was art or reflexology, that's my guide. So I would start with an additional, $15 or $10 for 15 minutes. So maybe an extra $20 if you're adding it to your pedicure.
Perfect. So an extra $20 would be 15 minutes on each foot, which is where that 10 plus 10 came in to give us the 20. In Illinois, you have to be certified to do reflexology. Thank you so much for that information, Barb. Are any of you in other states that know what your certification practices is for your state law? Oh, awesome. Barb charges $38 for half an hour and $70 for an hour. So Barb is using fairly similar pricing to what a massage therapist would charge for massage, which is absolutely fair. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
And if she's had to be certified in her state, she's gone above and beyond and had to do that, doing that extra education. So you would need to find out where you can get that certification within your state.
Absolutely. And you should always charge more for things that require you to have a higher level of learning, because you've invested the time and the money into that higher level of learning so that you can provide a superior service. And superior services have superior prices.
That's right.
It looks like we don't have any more questions. So if you're good to go, we would love to see some thumbs up that you liked the Facebook Live on reflexology, or even some hearts if you really, really enjoyed the information. And we will definitely do a follow-up blog with some resources. So keep an eye out for that later this month, and check out the blog on nailsmag.com under FingerNailFixer for the resources from the March broadcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
One other thing.
Oh.
We will be Facebook Living next month.
That's right. How can I forget? This is a monthly thing. You can join us once a month in the Tips of the Trade studio with the adorable fur babies and hashtag BFFBill.
So in the second Monday in May and the second Monday in June, we will be doing Facebook Live broadcasts. Our topic for May and June has yet to be determined.
So if you have any requests, definitely leave them in the comments below, because we'd love to know what you would love for us to discuss.
Yes.
Demo, talk about anything. What are you looking for when it comes to hands or feet, whether it is enhancement related, application related? Is it something to do with the feet themselves? We talked about feet last month. What would you like to hear about from the realm of hands and feet? We would love to cover it for you, and we're more than happy to do some research and share that with you.
Oh, and we need to, one of these times we need to have a discussion on our conflicting views on some things.
We will. We're considering a debate for a future Facebook Live, so you'll have to keep an eye out for that.
We'll need a mediator for that, though.
We will. We will. We might have to tap into one of your children.
Okay, Finch Circus, keep that in mind. I may need you.
Thanks so much for joining us. You guys have an awesome week. We hope that you are happy and profitable in the salon and enjoy this broadcast on reflexology. Thanks from the Nails Magazine page.
Bye.